The Academy Award for Documentary Feature is an award for documentary films. Winners and nominees. Following the Academy's practice, films are listed below by the award year. In practice, due to the limited nature of documentary distribution, a film may be released in different years in different venues, sometimes years after production is complete. 1940s. In 1942, there was one documentary category, 25 nominees and 4 winners. 1942 winners: The Battle of Midway, Kokoda Frontline, Moscow Strikes Back, Prelude to War. Nominees: Africa, Prelude to Victory, Combat Report, Conquered by the Clock, The Grain That Built a Hemisphere, Henry Brown, Farmer, High Over the Borders, High Stakes in the East, Inside Fighting China, It's Everybody's War, Listen to Britain, Little Belgium, Little Isles of Freedom, Mr. Blabbermouth, Mr. Gardner Jones, The New Spirit, The Price of Victory, A Ship Is Born, 21 Miles, We Refuse to Die, The White Eagle, Winning Your Wings. From 1943 there were 2 separate documentary categories. 1943 Desert Victory, Baptism of Fire, The Battle of Russia, Report from the Aleutians, War Department Report. 1944 The Fighting Lady, Resisting Enemy Interrogation. 1945 The True Glory, The Last Bomb. 1946 None Given. 1947 Design for Death, Journey into Medicine, The World is Rich. 1948 The Secret Land, The Quiet One. 1949 Daybreak in Udi Kanji Comes Home. 1950s. 1950 The Titan, Story of Michelangelo with These Hands. 1951 Kon-Tiki, I Was a Communist for the FBI. 1952 The Sea Around Us, The Hoaxsters, Navajo. 1953 The Living Desert, The Conquest of Everest, A Queen is Crowned. 1954 The Vanishing Prairie, The Stratford Adventure. 1955 Helen Keller in her story Kriveka. 1956 The Silent World, Where Mountains Float the Naked Eye. 1957 Albert Schweitzer on the Bowery, Torero. 1958 White Wilderness, Antarctic Crossing, The Hidden World, Psychiatric Nursing. 1959 Serengeti Shall Not Die, The Race for Space. 1960s. 1965 The Eleanor Roosevelt Story, The Battle of the Bulge. The Brave Rifles, The Fourth Road Bridge, Let My People Go, The Story of Israel, Moira Madrid. 1966 The War Game, The Face of a Genius, Helicopter Canada, The Really Big Family, La Vulcan Interdict. 1967 The Anderson Platoon Festival, Harvest Takings Story, A Time for Burning. 1968 Journey into Self-Note. At the 41st awards ceremony on April 14, 1969, Young Americans was announced as the winner of the documentary feature Oscar. On May 7, 1969, it was revealed that the film had played in October 1967, which rendered it ineligible for a 1968 award. The first runner-up, Journey into Self, was awarded the statuette on May 8, 1969. A few notes on Our Food Problem, Legendary Champions, Other Voices. 1969 Arthur Rubinstein, The Love of Life Before the Mountain was moved in the year of the Pig Olympiada in Mexico. The Wolf Men. 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, 2000s, 2010s. Superlatives. For this Academy Award category, the following superlatives emerge. Most awards: Walt Disney 4 awards. Most nominations: Charles Guggenheim 10 nominations. Controversies: while accepting the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress award in 1978, Vanessa Redgrave made a scornful reference to the Jewish Defense League, which was picketing the event in protest of Redgrave's involvement in the documentary The Palestinian, which advocated for a Palestinian state. She was both cheered and booed when she praised the Academy for ignoring the threats of a small bunch of Zionist hoodlums whose behavior is an insult to the stature of Jews all over the world. Many critically acclaimed documentaries were never nominated. Examples include Salesman, Don't Look Back, Gimme Shelter, Grey Gardens, Sans Soleil Show, The Thin Blue Line, Roger and Amp, Me, Touching the Void, Hoop Dreams, Wordplay, Crumb, Paris is Burning, Position Among the Stars, Kurt Cobain, Montage of Heck, Grizzly Man, Metal, A Headbanger's Journey, The Interrupters, The Last Waltz, Stories We Tell, Crime After Crime, Waltz with Bashir, Project Nim, Blackfish, Waiting for Superman, The King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters, Senna, We Were Here, Nostalgia for the Light, Life Itself, The Overnighters, The Internet's Own Boy, The Story of Aaron Swartz, Going Clear, Scientology and a Prison of Belief, Listen to Me Marlon, any entry from the Up series, Hitchcock, Truffaut, Heart of a Dog and Fahrenheit 9/11. Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 9/11, at the time the highest-grossing documentary film in movie history, was ruled ineligible because Moore had opted to have it played on television prior to the 2004 election. Previously, the 1982 winner Just Another Missing Kid had already been broadcast in Canada and won that country's ACTRA Award for Excellence in Television at the time of its nomination. The controversy over Hoop Dreams' exclusion was enough to have the Academy Awards begin the process to change its documentary voting system. Roger Ebert, who had declared it to be the best 1994 movie of any kind, looked into its failure to receive a nomination. We learned, through very reliable sources, that the members of the committee had a system. They carried little flashlights. When one gave up on a film, he waved a light on the screen. When a majority of flashlights had voted, the film was switched off. Hoop Dreams was stopped after 15 minutes. The Academy's executive director, Bruce Davis, took the unprecedented step of asking accounting firm Price Waterhouse to turn over the complete results of that year's voting, in which members of the committee had rated each of the 63 eligible documentaries on a scale of 6 to 10. What I found, said Davis, is that a small group of members gave zeros to every single film except the 5 they wanted to see nominated, and they gave 10s to those 5, which completely skewed the voting. There was one film that received more scores of 10 than any other, but it wasn't nominated. It also got zeros from those few voters, and that was enough to push it to 6th place. In 2000, Arthur Cohn, the producer of the winning One Day in September, boasted, "I won this without showing it in a single theater." Cohn had hit upon the tactic of showing his Oscar entries at invitation-only screenings, and to as few other people as possible. Oscar bylaws at the time required voters to have seen all 5 nominated documentaries. By limiting his audience, Cohn shrank the voting pool and improved his odds. Following protests by many documentarians, the nominating system was subsequently changed. Hoop Dreams director Steve James said, "With so few people looking at any given film, it only takes one to dislike a film and its chances for making the short list are diminished greatly. So they've got to do something, I think, to make the process more sane for deciding the short list." Quote, among other rule changes taking effect in 2013, the Academy began requiring a documentary to have been reviewed by either the New York Times or Los Angeles Times, and be commercially released for at least 1 week in both of those cities. Advocating for the rule change, Michael Moore said, "When people get the award for Best Documentary and they go on stage and thank the Academy, it's not really the Academy, is it? It's 5% of the Academy. The awards process has also been criticized for emphasizing a documentary's subject matter over its style or quality. In 2009, Entertainment Weekly's Owen Gleiberman wrote about the documentary branch members' penchant for choosing movies that the selection committee deemed good because they're good for you. A kind of self-defeating aesthetic of granola documentary correctness. Although documentaries are eligible for the Academy Award for Best Picture, none has yet earned a nomination. Documentaries are ineligible for the other awards such as Best Original Screenplay and Best Director due to the realistic elements